Hello and welcome to Rajya Sabha Television. You're watching The Big Picture with me, Frank Rausen Pereira. Firstly, I'd like to wish our viewers a very happy Independence Day. Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi today addressed the nation from the majestic Red Fort on the occasion of India's 74th Independence Day. In the 1 hour 26 minute speech, he focused on the themes of Atmanirbhar Bharat, Vocal for Local and Make in India to Make for the World. He also paid tribute to those on the front lines of the fight against coronavirus and declared that India had a roadmap ready for the production and distribution of 3 COVID-19 vaccines that are at various stages of testing. This was Prime Minister Modi's 7th consecutive Independence Day speech and second since his BJP-led NDA swept to a second term in power in the Lok Sabha elections last year. In this edition of The Big Picture, we will analyze the Independence Day speech of the Honorable Prime Minister. Joining me on the program today are Ashok Tandon, Senior Journalist, Prafulla Ketkar, Editor of Organizer, and Abhinav Prakash, Assistant Professor of Economics, University of Delhi. Thank you to all my guests for joining me on this edition of The Big Picture. Mr. Tandon, let me begin the program with you first. Let's understand the key highlights really and the key takeaways for you as far as this Independence Day address of the Prime Minister was concerned.
I think the biggest takeaway of today's address was Prime Minister Narendra Modi's doctrine on the neighborhood. Today he talked of an extended neighborhood. I think in the last 74 years, no Prime Minister has defined neighborhood the way Mr. Modi has defined today. And if you look at the way he has expanded, it will not cover only South Asia, SAARC countries, Southeast Asian, ASEAN countries, Central Asian republics, even the Cooperation Council, even some of the countries which are in Australasian region. So he is today talking in terms of expanding India's neighborhood right from West Asian countries, Southeast Asian countries, and he said neighborhood doesn't mean where we have either a sea coastline or a land boundary. Because wherever our hearts are together, that also includes our friends. And in that context, we talked of the cooperation which India and Indians got during Corona pandemic in the Gulf region, and also where thousands and thousands of Indians are working. Similarly, talked of Southeast Asian country, where we have religious and also cultural ties over centuries. And we talked of the cooperation not only in terms of security, but also in terms of energy and in terms of various other fields, economic development. I think this is for the first time the Prime Minister expanded the definition of neighbor. Then, in the context of the misadventures which the Indian we saw over the last couple of months in LAC and LOC both, and the way Indian armed forces have reversed those misadventures. From there, he talked of saying that terrorism and expansionism, India is fully capable of fighting these two menaces. So then again, another very significant issue was relating to security was the expanding NCC in 173 districts in the border area and the coastal area. 1 lakh NCC cadets will be raised and they will be trained in the land area by the army, wherever there are air bases by the Air Force, and in the coastal area by Navy. And these NCC cadets will be a new force which can help in the natural calamities. And they will also have opportunities to join Indian armed forces. And a road, a highway all along the Indian Sea, 1,300 islands. He talked of the island connectivity. Andaman Nicobar has already been connected. Now he talked of Lakshadweep. So I think if you look at this doctrine, it is not only economic development, it is not only social cooperation, but also relating to wider perspective of national security. I think that is one major takeaway which the Prime Minister has given us today. And another very significant announcement was that after delimitation is over in Jammu Kashmir and Ladakh, political process will start. He said we want to see new chief minister, new MLAs. And then in that context, he praised the local self-government in all these 3 regions, the way they have been, public discourse is now open to the local people. So I think these are 2 very significant announcements which the Prime Minister made, apart from other very important announcements like the health card, and also vaccine, as you also mentioned. And he said the
Right.
whole country wanted to know what the progress in vaccine. He said not one, three Indian vaccines are candidate. And as soon as there is clearance from the scientists, the country is ready to supply those vaccines in all parts of the country and also maybe other countries also.
Absolutely. Points taken. Let me take the points that you're making forward and take up this issue of regional connectivity with Abhinav Prakash. Abhinav, as far as the region and the neighborhood is concerned, and expanding our, our presence in the extended neighborhood as well. Let's not forget that the entire world is going through an economic crisis of sorts, and this is something that is troubling us. Before we speak about Atmanirbhar Bharat and vocal for local, let's also remember that we need to connect with like-minded people from in the neighborhood and around the world to try and ensure that we come out of this economic crisis.
Yes, true, Frank. First of all, happy Independence Day to all the audience. Yes, you are absolutely correct. See, when we're talking about making India the hub of the global production, when we are saying we have to go local in our manufacturing, remember how the production processes have changed in the last 2 or 3 decades. Now the production processes are so complex, let's say even in the manufacturing of car or any machinery or airplanes, that no one country can specialize in producing all the components. So in 80s, perhaps if you're making a car, you could produce the entire structure from the small components to the seat cover in a single factory. But now that is no longer possible. So what has happened is the fragmentation of the production process. So if you want to, become a hub of manufacturing, we cannot become the hub of manufacturing of the end product per se. We have to integrate ourselves in the global supply chains, which Prime Minister Modi has also talked about various times, that we have to get into the parts and components production chains which spread across the globe. So of course, we need to work very closely with other countries. We need to explore business opportunities. We need to help those countries, the like-minded countries, and reduce our dependence on the hostile countries when it comes to the supply chains. So yes, it's going to be a global effort, but we need to be very, very careful when we talk about Atmanirbhar Bharat and the vocal for local, that it does not mean import substitution policy of the 70s. Because if we go down that path, it will be a route to disaster. So we have to remember we are talking about local in a globalized context, Frank. So of course, we have the countries in the East Asia, we have our own neighborhood, we have the West Asian countries, the Gulf countries are moving towards a completely new direction, as we have seen. We have seen recently how UAE and Israel have restored a full diplomatic, not restored, but for the first time have created a full diplomatic relation with each other. So Gulf countries also offer a great opportunity. The Africa also offers a great opportunity for India. So we need to work with a like-minded country to make sure that it's a coordinated attempt to come out of this pandemic and its economic impact. Because remember, what one country does in the realm of economic policy, not just the, let's say, the fiscal policy, but also the monetary policy, has a spillover impact on the other countries in the neighborhood. So there need to be greater coordination, greater consultation, and I'm sure the Indian's foreign ministry is working towards that. We have seen the foreign ministry has been very active of late, and the whole world wants to now change their supply chain, and India is one of the prime candidates for that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Prafulla Ketkar, let me bring you into the picture now and talk about another aspect as well. Something that we've seen over the years is, the grand celebrations that we see on the ramparts of the Red Fort with the thousands of children, waiting to get a glimpse of the Prime Minister too going and interacting with them, taking snaps with them. That is something we missed this time around, but unfortunately we are going through this pandemic. But it also shows a sense of resilience, a sense that, India wants to fight back, India wants to come out of this as strong as possible, because the Prime Minister also spoke about 3 vaccine candidates, and India has also shown to the world its capacity, how it has helped the world with medical supplies and so many other things as well.
Yes, Frank. We need to understand that compared to the regular audience that we see on Independence Day, only 1/3 could be accommodated due to the social distancing norms today. And of course, the kids and that energy was missing at the venue. But if you see nationally, we can experience that the way from right from Leh Ladakh to Andaman Nicobar, the kind of pictures that we are getting about the Independence Day celebration. But this speech is important for me, the way he contextualized the entire pandemic scenario. One, to provide substance to the idea of Atmanirbhar Bharat. As Abhinav rightly said, it doesn't mean protectionism. It doesn't mean just restricting all kinds of imports. The term that he has used is very important for me. Make in India for and at the same time made for the world, made for the Jagat, he said. So it is expanding this vision. Strengthening our domestic industry, promoting our local goods is one thing, and at the same time integrating with the world for the larger cause, playing the larger role as a global power is another thing. In this context, I feel his subtle but important reference to Maharshi Aurobindo is very critical, because he was first person after independence who in his famous speech actually articulated idea about India as a Jagat Guru. And what does it mean? It was not just meant to be a spiritual power. It was meant to be a righteous power, and that righteousness had to be defined someday. Today we have got opportunity, and I believe Prime Minister used that opportunity to define that the concept of righteous power. And in that sense, I think we have to view this entire speech.
Absolutely. Taking the discussion forward, and let this point particularly about Atmanirbhar Bharat, Mr. Tandon. Of course, the Prime Minister has a great vision for the country. He would expect everyone to go along with that vision and try and deliver. But at the same time, we need the policy level changes. We need everyone to go along as well if we want to see the kind of India that the Prime Minister dreams for us.
See, PM mentioned for the first time the FDI in India has crossed all records. And that he said in the context of again Atmanirbhar Bharat, because whatever we are now producing is for the global good, welfare of the entire international community. And the defense production cooperation which India has now sought, and the banning of about 100 items from import. But one thing which I again would like to emphasize in the context of foreign policy is that he called upon all the leaders in our neighborhood that to restore and maintain peace in this region is the responsibility of all of us. And therefore, it is literally a subtle warning to some of our neighbors who keep on, indulging in misadventures. That peace is not only the responsibility of India, the entire region. And then when he was expanding the region, again he was emphasizing not only on economic cooperation, socio-economic development, but also maintaining peace. And he said peace in this region is very important for the world peace also. So, and then India is getting a seat on the UN, non-permanent seat. The huge response from the international community. He said it has not come just because of any other reason, because India is now being appreciated the world over. India has friends all over the country because we are strong, because we are becoming self-reliant. Therefore, making India a self-reliant with Atmanirbhar Bharat will not only help grow us strong internally, but in our neighborhood, and also being recognized by the entire international community. So I think the speech which the entire world, particularly our neighbors and the other international community must be listening was to this particular aspect of the doctrine which Modi has given on the expanded neighborhood and also improving relations with all our neighbors, all kind of extended help, assistance which India has given to neighbors and so many other countries in terms of help as far as the corona medicines are concerned and other equipment is concerned. So he said India is not developing for itself, because India's growth development is all for the world peace, international community. So Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam is the slogan which he said, and therefore I think apart from announcing a lot of schemes, and I think one significant scheme which he mentioned was the water. He said now there is a cooperative, competitive federalism among states and other stakeholders to implement the Prime Minister's this mission of drinking water supply. And he said 1 lakh families are being supplied pure drinking water every day, and 2 crore families have already got it. So I think it was not just a speech which he recalled all the schemes which were launched earlier, and in a passing reference said there has been progress because there is cooperation from the people, all stakeholders. So Prime Minister's speech today, I think, was a very subtle message to our neighbors also, as well, and he talked about the cooperation from the state governments,
Right.
cooperation from the social welfare organization, and also the community. So I think it was a statesman-like message which he gave today, and I do hope that it must have been appreciated by all quarters, including various political parties. There was no politics in today's speech, and when he praised all the state governments and everybody, I think there should be appreciation of his statesman-like address today.
Absolutely. There's no doubt about that. All right, Abhinav Prakash, talking about Make in India to Make for the World, that is something that I brought up in my initial remarks. That is something that Praful Ketkar also took up in his initial remarks. So what is it that we need to do? Of course, ease of doing business rankings, we have gone up. There are several other steps that have been taken to try and, deal with this issue and try and ensure that, India is a global economic powerhouse as well. But apart from that, what more needs to be done, do you think, we have to make in India for the world?
Yes, Frank. So recently there was a very viral post about a person who tried to start a manufacturing unit in the Maharashtra, and he listed what problems he faced, and those problems were quite daunting. So the point is that the central government might change some laws. The central government has changed lots of laws, and you have set up dedicated windows for investment and other things. But what matters is the behavior of the frontline bureaucracy. So what is happening at the local level? What is happening at the level of municipality? What is happening at the level of the state government? That is a very, very prime importance for the investors. And I think that is where we are lacking as of now. So the state governments really need to change their laws, modernize their laws, and and better equip the frontline bureaucracy. Because see, lots of our bureaucrats, and I'm talking not about the officer class, but the inspectors, the electricity department at the local level, they are also not really equipped to deal with this kind of problems. That how do you deal with industrialization? How do you deal with the problems which a manufacturing unit might face? So we need to invest in the frontline bureaucracy. We need to modernize the law at the state level and the local level. And the other point, Frank, is that the technology. So remember, the production process now has a very high component of the technological growth. So if you want to remain competitive, if you want to, withstand the international, withstand on your own in the international market, you need to constantly research and innovate. And that is where India is lacking as of now. And remember, research and innovation doesn't come simply by buying technology for a door. The technology ultimately is about the human beings. How much you have invested in your human resource, how much educated your workforce is, how many years of training and research and skilling, all those things you have given to your students and the working force. So that is where we need to focus upon. And the Prime Minister also talked about new education policy, which has a good focus on the research and development. But then, as we say, it all depends on the implementation, because it will take a long-term process, because you can't really change the human resource you have now. So you need to start investing from the people from the primary school level. The other point which is of very crucial importance is that, manufacturing can grow in the country when you have sufficient aggregate demand. So as of now, the income side, I'd say the income side of the Indian economy is not really looking very good. So it's only when the companies operate in a domestic market, which has high demand, and those companies expand, they achieve economies of scale, only then they become competitive and they go out to the world and start competing with the international competitors. So I think that going forward, we need to take care not just of the reforms on the supply side, but also something needs to be done to push up and to maintain the incomes of the people. If we can achieve that, perhaps I'm pretty sure that India has lots of advantages in terms of cost and other things. We can definitely grow. So we have seen in the case of the defense manufacturing, by the way. So in the last 4 years, India's defense export has increased about 5 times. We are now exporting defense equipments to 42 countries. This is a great success story. So we need to double down, but again, what happens at the local level is of more importance, in my opinion, than what is happening at a central level. Second point is that technology is a very crucial component, and we are not taking it seriously as of now. I mean that our policymakers at the state level and at the people who are running the manufacturing unit, they're not understanding this aspect of the production process. They think production process is simply setting up a unit and producing something, but technological component is very, very complex. So we need to focus more on it.
Absolutely. All right. So, Professor Ketkar, as far as India's stock in the world is concerned, it has gone up as well. And in the recent past, we've seen more countries wanting to engage with India, more companies wanting to do business with India as well. So clearly, something that we are doing right, really, as far as this is concerned. And what more do you think we need to do to ensure that we get our seat at the global high table?
Frank, the simple thing is the way Prime Minister has provided substance to this entire idea of Atmanirbhar Bharat. It has some clues regarding, how to move forward. One is the focus that the way he has focused on this cyber optics, cable network that is reaching up to the rural level. Now, compared to, say, Korea or Singapore, we are nowhere in terms of cyber connectivity. Now, thinking about the integrated infrastructure plan and not thinking about the cyber connectivity or 5G is not going to work these days. So, bringing that portion in, that itself is a way forward. Secondly, he spoke about the social exclusion and the regional exclusion. There are certain regions that are excluded from the development process, and there are certain communities that are excluded from the development process. Now, unless we bring in those, regions as well as communities in this vision for development, that is not going to work out. Thirdly, the way he connected development, security, and the policy making or the policy implementation aspect. I think bringing this triangle together. Now, for example, he spoke about the connectivity, fiber optics cable connectivity with Andaman Nicobar, which is now going to be work for Lakshadweep also. But first time, the way he has brought out 1,300 islands and the maritime border into our consciousness. Now, do we realize even that in terms of blue economy, how much important this is for India being not just a transporting hub, but also a manufacturing hub? So I think, bringing this in our consciousness itself is a great thing. But as Abhinav rightly said, implementing it at policy level, percolating it down to the people, researchers coming on the one hand with innovation and on the other hand with the social and bureaucratic level analysis, where are the real hurdles lies. Like for example, energy partnerships. Now there is a lot of talk about solar energy and solar equipments. Today also Prime Minister spoke about it. But reality, we know that as far as the components related to solar panels are concerned, in last few decades, our dependence on China has in fact increased. Now we have to, on the one hand, we have a vision for solar energy, but on the other hand, we are creating dependence on adversary like China. So here, I would like to conclude that the two terms that he has used, without he used Swatantra and Samarthya. Without strength, there cannot be true independence, and without Shrama Shakti, there cannot be Vaibhav. Without the dignity of labor, there cannot be prosperity. So we have to work on the strengths, overcome weaknesses, and we have to ensure that dignity of labor is established so that prosperity is percolated down up to the grassroots level. I think this is going to hold the key. Of course, technology, legal reforms, bureaucratic reforms that are important, but ultimately this is going to be the key.
All right, then it's time to get closing comments from all my guests right now with the best way forward, and also to try and understand what more needs to be done to ensure that the Prime Minister's doctrine is actually implemented and put in use. I've got limited time, so I'm going to ask my panelists to be brief, starting first with you, Mr. Khanna.
I think the great communicator which Prime Minister Modi is, he started his speech by paying tribute to the freedom fighters, then also paying tribute to the Jawans who have laid down their lives on the border and also fighting terrorism both internally and externally. And then quite a lot of time was spent on complimenting the Corona warriors, all categories. I can't even name all of them, but they have done a wonderful job. So this is a way of connecting with the people during the Prime Minister's Independence Day address. And then he also mentioned about the Ram Temple, this Shilanyas. All these things, I think he's connectivity with the common man, right? And then agriculture sector, innovation, and giving, improving the agriculture status, value addition in agriculture, rural economy. All these things were actually intended to have a good connection with people right at the grassroots level, and that's the beauty of a great communicator.
Absolutely. Abhinav Prakash.
I think the greatest takeaway was the announcement of the National Health ID card and also the announcement of the water connectivity, the water tap which has been provided. If you take these together, I mean, the proper sanitation, clean drinking water, and the accessibility to healthcare will be the greatest transformation which we can expect in the coming years. And going forward, I will say, Frank, that as Prafulji also talked about, before becoming Vishwa Guru, we should become Vishwa Shramik. We need to invest in our labor force, we need to invest in our education, and we need to have a world-class labor force which can produce world-class products.
Absolutely. And Praful Ketkar, please close the show for us with your concluding remarks.
Yes. Most of the points are mentioned, but not mentioned. One, I think bringing in the discussion, like we remember that when he spoke about Swachh Bharat, many people, even in the opposition, ridiculed that idea itself. Today, first time some prime ministers spoke about the sanitary pads from the ramparts of Red Fort. I think that is a good, important point, because talking about women empowerment in such language is important. Secondly, the way he brought in this idea related to one project, Asiatic Lion, and along with it, Project Dolphin. That is also one, important takeaway in this regard. Taking this cyber connectivity in terms of optic cables up to 6 lakh, it means all villages. That is another important takeaway. And, accepting that 1 lakh tap waters are being delivered on each day to realize the Jal Shakti mission of India. I think this is a huge announcement, as well as in a way commitment on behalf of the government. So I think these are important points that we should keep in mind while moving forward and celebrating our independence, on 74th independence, which is not just like any other Independence Day. Within all restrictions, we are trying to find opportunities amidst crisis. That was the clear message that Prime Minister conveyed to the entire nation.
Absolutely. On that note, then, I'll call it a wrap on this edition of The Big Picture. Thank you to all my guests for joining me on the program and putting things into perspective for us. Once again, I'd like to wish all my fellow Indians a very happy Independence Day. Let's be proud of our heritage. Let's take India forward. Jai Bharat. See you again next time.